Okay, so thank you guys who showed up yesterday. Like you've gotten the email I sent today, we have another scrimmage scheduled Monday at Kent Lake. It looks like we're going to go for the later time, 5 to 7:30, but it depends on what the coach can do with gym time. So that's still up in the air, but we have a good number of you guys that have already said you can come, and that's awesome. At some point, Steve's going to join us on the floor after Thanksgiving Day, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So 3 things tonight. We're going to go over the quizzes for 6 and 10. We're going to go over rules 7 and 8. I'm going to give Steve's old talk, so he's probably going to have to jump in and help me here or there. And then I'm going to do a really quick arbiter, how to set your blocks, how to get certified. Since you're all here, might as well just do it all at once. Okay. So let me share my screen. Share. And okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm only going to go through the questions like last week where there's like half and half or less right and wrong. So like this one. A3 and A1 are standing on opposite sides of the center restraining circle, awaiting the jump ball between A5 and B5 to start the game. After the referee releases the ball, but prior to either jumper touching it, A1 leaves her position and breaks down the floor. A5 taps the ball to A3, who passes it to A1 for an easy basket. Is this legal? Yes, it is legal. You can't come onto the circle, but you can leave the circle. Is that correct, Steve? I'm pretty sure that's correct.
That's actually a tip play we used to run in high school 88 years ago. So that rule hasn't changed in a long time.
Or something like that, right? Let's see what else we have here. We have, you guys did pretty, here's another one. B2 has started to try for a field goal, but has yet to release the shot when A3 is whistled for a foul against B3. So B2 shooting, hasn't released, A3 foul B3. B2 then releases the shot and the ball goes into the basket. Official rules that the ball is dead when the whistle blows and disallows the shot. Is this ruling correct? So this is one of those rules in the live ball, dead ball section that I learned the hard way at a camp I went to when I was a rookie, like you guys are. So this is the bottom line. If a foul is committed by the defense, which it is in this case, while somebody's in the act of shooting and they do not have to have released the ball, okay, if the defense commits a foul and the offensive player has already started the shooting motion, the basket's going to count if it goes in. If the offense commits a foul, like a screen away from the ball or some stupidity, I don't know, that somebody's doing while one of their teammates is shooting, then these shots only going to count if the ball has been released before the foul. So 2 different situations, and this feeds right into that. Does that make sense to you guys? I mean, the rule book doesn't state it very clearly, but that's the bottom line.
So you said that if the defense fouls, even if it's not the player on the ball, then you allow continuation. But if the offense fouls, it had to have been already released.
Correct. Okay, and all these situations that I'm talking about have to do with a foul away from the ball. You know, because all the time, if the shooter gets fouled in the act of shooting, they're going to get free throws. This is like on one side of the floor, there's a shooter, and on the other side of the foul, on the court, two players are going at it, and the foul's away from the ball. And so you're just trying to figure out if the shot's going to count or not. Okay. All right.
One more follow-up on that. If it's simultaneous, do you default one way or the other?
I would default to I'll tell you what I would do. If it was simultaneous and the offensive player committed a foul, I would not count the basket. If it was the other way around, I'd probably count the basket. I don't believe in giving a team that committed a foul a gift of a basket too. But there's no rule. That's just me. I don't know, Steve, what you do, but that's just
I've
me.
never seen a simultaneous foul in my life. That's not true. I've seen simultaneous fouls when there's two players following each other, but I've never seen it relative to a shot being released and a foul occurring. So
Yeah, just make a decision. And like I said, try not to reward the offense for bad behavior.
umpires will tell you they've never seen a tie goes to the runner situation on a base. That's always either the ball got there first or the runner got there first.
Well, yeah, okay. B5 fumbles a rebound and the ball goes directly above Team A's basket. The ball is on the ring when the horn sounds to end the quarter and subsequently enters the basket. Is Team A credited with 2 points? Does anybody know why everybody got this wrong? Can anybody guess? Or who's the one person who got it right?
You should be able to know that, but
No takers? Okay, so the only time when the horn goes off, the only time we wait to see if the ball goes in the basket is if a shot was taken. And in this case, a shot was not taken. So as soon as the horn goes, the ball's dead and the quarter's over. Okay. That was kind of a gotcha one. Okay. Sorry, my phone was dinging like crazy. I had to turn it off. Okay, so that's all for that quiz 6. Well done. Let me see here. And quiz 10, right? Responses. Okay. Steve, this question is obviously too easy.
yeah,
You're gonna have to toughen it up
fix
a little
that
bit.
one.
Yeah.
Either that or Mike's a good teacher.
All right, this one got a few wrong answers, so let's talk about it. A3 is driving toward the basket. B5 comes from the opposite side, jumps, and in the judgment of the official, intentionally slaps the backboard, causing it to vibrate and the shot to fall off the ring. The official blows the whistle and calls B5 for basket interference, awarding Team A 2 points. Is this ruling correct? Anybody want to jump in that had the correct answer?
It's a technical foul.
That's exactly correct. Okay. We just have to be careful when we adjudicate this because we need to know that the player purposefully slapped the backboard. If they just hit it in the act of trying to block a shot or something, we don't want to be calling technical fouls all over, but it's pretty obvious when somebody's whapping the backboard trying to knock the ball off the rim. Okay. Here's another one. Okay, I think you probably know this. I think Steve actually talked about this in his talk, or whoever gave the talk, Mike. A1 is entitled to 2 free throws when intentionally fouled and making a 3-point try. The thing to know is whenever you're intentionally fouled, you're going to get at least 2 shots, no matter if the basket went in or not. And if it's a 3-point attempt and there's an intentional foul, you're going to get 3 shots. Okay. So if this 3 goes in
you didn't
and you
make
get
it,
2,
right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
And if if the 3-point shot was not successful, you would get 3 shots.
Right.
If you make it, here's the question where it is successful, so you only get 2.
So you have a
But
5.
you don't get 1, you get 2.
Yeah, you have a 5.
And then you get the ball. So it could be 7-8 point swing there.
Yeah. Here's one more. Prior to a varsity game, Team A enters the gym wearing jerseys with red, white, and blue stripes running across the torso of the jerseys. The referee immediately informs the head coach that the jerseys are not legal. The head coach indicates that they've been using those jerseys. I've been using those jerseys all year and nobody else has told me that.
This is a personal question from me.
He indicates he has no other jerseys available. The referee assesses a technical foul against the head coach and informs the coach that he has lost his coaching box privileges for the game. Is this ruling correct? Why don't you talk about it, Steve?
Exactly, this thing happened to me in a game, and we weren't in the first couple of games of the season. We were probably halfway through the season. And the team came out, and first off, they were probably wearing shooting shirts or something, so you couldn't see their jerseys. And then one kid took his shooting shirt off, and I kind of turned and looked at my two partners, and I'm like, that's illegal, right? And everybody agreed that that was illegal. And coach and the AD both came up to me and said, but we've been wearing those shirts all year and nobody's ever said a word to us. And I said, well, you're not gonna be able to say that anymore. And then he was very pleased, particularly the coach was particularly pleased that he lost his coaching box privilege for the game as well.
That's what happens. That wasn't Nathan Hale, was it?
It was not.
Okay. They had the sublimated ones. Okay. Okay, everybody understand? Good. A1 is driving for a layup and B5 is in the lane.
Hey, Stacy, I have one question.
Yes?
If the way they said it, if they just asked it more, more politely, or just as, because they were curious or whatever, would you still give it a technical?
Yes, I would, but we're talking about varsity basketball. We're not talking about 8th grade or AAU or, because frankly, some of those teams are lucky to have uniforms that kind of match. So in a varsity game, yes, the uniforms need to be legal. And if they're not legal, no matter how nice the coach is, you can give him a really nice technical foul and you can be nice to him, but that's just the rule.
Get him
Okay.
a pillow to sit on while he has to sit the whole game.
Okay. A1 is driving for a layup and B5 is in the lane when the players collide. Both officials blow their whistles. So this is what I think is called a blarge, with one giving a preliminary signal of a block and the other a player control foul. So one's calling the offensive foul, one's calling the defensive foul. The try goes in the basket. The officials disallow the score, report fouls on both A1 and B5, and award the ball to Team A, who was entitled to the next alternating possession. Is this correct? This play happened in a 3A state championship game, and the crew managed to get it right, and I have no idea how, because they really didn't know what they were doing. Well, they really didn't know the rule. This is just how they came up with it. So they had good instincts, I guess. So this is how it works. In National Federation, if you have a blarge, first of all, you don't want to have one. Okay, but if it happens, you need to assess both fouls. At women's college, you get together and you figure out which one which one is the correct call, and then you just have one. But in high school, you have to adjudicate both of them. Okay, so since both fouls are going to count, whenever there's a player control foul, the ball becomes dead immediately, right? So the basket can't count. Okay, and so that's what happens. The try went in, you disallowed the score, called both fouls, and then you go to the AP to see who gets the ball. Crazy stuff.
So I thought you guys were talking, I think it was the on-court session where you mentioned that the lead and the trail kind of blow their whistle at the same time and you figure it out, kind of like you said with the women's college. I didn't see anything in these rules that said there could be a simultaneous foul like that.
Well, when we were talking about it on the floor, we were talking about, let's say you and I both called a foul against the same kid, or you call a travel, and then I called a foul, but the foul happened after the travel, right? So then we'll get together and figure out, who's going to take the call, or which are we going to take, the violation or the foul, that kind of stuff. But when this particular situation happens, when this block charge happens and both plays are called on the floor, it has to be adjudicated this way. It's kind of a weird situation. And I don't like calling both of them, but that's just the way the rules are written. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go on to our talk here. Where is it? There we go. Steve, this should look really familiar. Where is the slideshow? Here we go. Why am I not? Here we go. From beginning. Okay, everybody got it? Rules 7 and 8. I need to get my faces out of the way. Okay, rule 7, out of bounds and throw in. Okay, out of bounds. A player is out of bounds if the player touches the floor or an object other than a person outside the boundary. So if their arm touches somebody out of bounds, they're not out of bounds, okay? But if they touch the floor or any other object, they're out of bounds. The ball's out of bounds if it touches the floor or an object, including a person, outside the boundary. The ball is also out of bounds if it hits the basket supports, the ceiling, shot clock, back of the backboard, etc. The top of the backboard and the sides of the backboard and the bottom of the backboard, those are all in bounds. It's only the back. So if the ball hits the top of the backboard and it bounces straight up, it's still in bounds. If it hits the back corner and bounces backwards, then it technically hit the back side of the board, so it's out of bounds. We had this happen last night. If the ball is out of bounds, if it passes over a rectangular backboard, okay? It says
So
rectangular.
I actually had, in a game I reffed last weekend, the ball hitting me as I was standing on the boundary line. So my foot was on the boundary line and the ball hit me, but never in fact went out of bounds. Like the part of my body that it hit me in was probably 2 feet on the court and my left foot was standing on the boundary line. So anybody want to take a crack as to whether that ball is in bounds or out of bounds?
In bounds, ref's part of the court.
Anybody want to take a different crack?
He was on the boundary line, so therefore it would technically cross like the plane, right? When it touched you, because you were part of that.
So I was out of bounds. If you go back just to that summary there, right? It says the ball is out of bounds when it touches anything that's out of bounds. And I was out of bounds. Now I was working with somebody who had 20 years of experience and an observer was at the game. And both of them said, I'm not sure you got that one right. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's right. And eventually we decided that it was, but so that you think about that when because that'll be a situation that'll happen to you. There'll be a wild pass or something and you'll get hit and you need to know, or your partner needs to help you as to whether you are in bounds or out of bounds.
I think, Chris, you were the one initially last night that was running really far out of bounds when you were in transition to the new trail. When you're the trail, you want to be on the floor 99% of the time. For that very situation Steve's talking about. If the ball bounces off you, you don't want to cause it to be out of bounds if you can help it. So
that's what the observer ended up coming back and telling me. He goes, well, you should have been on the court. I was like, that's true, but I wasn't.
Sometimes you can't be. Okay, throw-in locations. Where do you put the ball in for the throw-in? After a violation, you throw it in at a designated spot nearest the violation. I'm going to show you the picture. We've talked about the picture for the throw-in spots, but I'm going to show it to you again just so that you have a visual. After the ball is dead, it comes in at a designated spot nearest to where the ball became dead. So there's a timeout, right? The ball became dead, and you're going to put it in closest to where the ball was when the timeout was called. For a common foul, which is before the bonus is in effect, or an intentional foul after the free throws, the ball comes in at the designated spot nearest the foul. Okay, nearest the foul, not where the ball was, nearest the foul. And after a technical foul and the free throws, the ball comes in all the time at the division line opposite the scorer's table to the same team. After a made goal, the ball can come in anywhere along the end line, including the player bringing it in can run along the end line, or it can pass to another one of their teammates who goes out of bounds outside that end line, and then it comes in. We've all seen this. Like I said, it usually, the only time I've ever really seen it in the game is after a timeout when a coach draws a play up and is trying to surprise the other team. And again, like we talked about at the JCC, the designated spot is 3 feet wide, has no depth limit, and the requirement is the thrower in needs to have 1 foot on or over that 3 foot wide spot until the ball is released. No traveling involved. There's no traveling on a throw in. Okay, this is the picture that I never really showed you, but I kind of pointed the lines out on the floor. So everything from the corner to the elbow, around the top of the circle, and then back to the corner, everything in here is going to come in on the end line. Okay, if the ball goes out of bounds inside the key area, we never bring it in here. We always bring it in just outside the lane. Okay. And for these areas on the outside here, we're going to bring the ball in on the sideline at a point perpendicular to where the ball was. Okay, so if there was a violation or a foul here, then you just go straight to the end line. That's where the sideline, that's where the ball is going to come in. This area here, people often seem to think the ball is going to come in on the sidelines, but everything in this blue area, bluish grayish area, comes in on the end line. Okay. Throw in administration. Okay, this should all be a review for you. We want to bounce the ball to the thrower, except when we're on the end line in the front court, where we hand the ball. The throw-in starts when the ball is at the disposal of the team entitled to throwing it in. So if you're bouncing the ball to a thrower in, it's at their disposal when they actually catch it, not when it's bounced. Okay, so they have to have possession of it. The ball has to be released within 5 seconds. That's why we do our count away from the player. The throw-in ends when the ball is touched by a player inbounds or out of bounds, or the throw-in team commits a violation. Okay? It's really important to know those definitions. Throw-in starts when the ball is at the disposal of the team, and it ends when it's touched by a player, or the throw-in team commits a violation.
So why does it need to be bounced specifically?
It's to give you, especially in a two-person game, a better peripheral vision of a better view of what's going on the floor. So instead of standing right next to the player and being tempted to like trying to find their feet and so forth, which is going to keep you from looking out on the floor, if you take a few steps away and bounce it, you can see their feet peripherally and you can see what's going on the floor. It just gives you a broader view. Okay, that's a good question. The opponent of the thrower shall not penetrate the throw-in boundary plane until the ball is released. Okay, if the defender reaches through, that's a warning. Reaches through again, that's a technical foul. Okay, I think Mike talked about this last week. What happens if the defender reaches through and touches the ball? What's the result of that?
It's an intentional foul.
So it's a technical foul if he touches the ball. If the defender touches the player holding the ball, that's an intentional foul. Okay. And when the wrong team is awarded the ball, the error must be corrected before the throw-in ends. I did this in a state tournament myself, and thankfully I corrected it before it was too late. Okay, so if you hand the ball or you bounce the ball to the person throwing the ball in, the throw-in doesn't end until somebody in bounds or out of bounds touches the ball, right? So if you bounce it to them, you start counting. It's like, oh God, I gave it to the wrong team. You blow your whistle, you get the ball back. It's all good. But if you don't notice it until somebody inbounds or out of bounds touches the ball, it's too late. Okay, that's why it's important to know the definition. Resumption of play. You see this a lot, especially with little kids, because the coaches try to fill their heads with so much information on timeouts, they're never out on time. So if the thrower isn't available after a timeout or intermission between the quarters, you sound the whistle. You put the ball, if team A is getting the ball, you give them the ball, even if the other team might not be out there, or you place it on the floor if the throwing in team isn't out there, and you start your 5-second count. Okay? Don't be too much of a Grinch about this. Give them a little leniency, but they need to learn sometime. And if it goes on the whole game, you might have to do this, okay? So you put it on the floor or you give it to the player, you begin the throw and count. And if a violation occurs, you repeat it for team B. So team A is supposed to get the ball. They're still in their huddle. You blow your whistle, you put the ball on the floor, you count, get up to 5, okay? That's a violation. So then team B gets the ball. Well, if team B is not out of their huddle and you count to 5, then what happens? We have technical fouls, okay? We're not going to do it all night long. Everybody good with that? All right, let me get this started up. Hold on a second. I'm going to unshare real quick because I need to optimize for video and I didn't do that. So where's my stop share? I want to start share, optimize for video, share sound. Okay. And I want to go back here. And I want to go from the current slide. All right, here we go. Hear me? Hear that? You hear it?
All right, on this
Yes.
play, the ball goes out of bounds on the sideline that belongs to the lead official. It's a sideline throw-in. The lead is responsible for the throw-in. If the throw-in was below the free throw line extended, the lead could bounce the ball to the thrower. But the official's manual specifically states that in this instance, the lead official becomes the trail official and administers the sideline throw-in. Again, the critical principle here is the boxing in principle. Watch how the officials move around the players with all players in view between them. That's the key component.
Okay, does everybody get that? This is something we talked about, but maybe that's just a visualization of it, okay? So the lead sideline, if the ball goes out above the free throw line, then you're going to essentially swap positions with the other official, and you're now going to become the trail, and the trail will become the lead. Make sense? Sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for acknowledging that. Oh, gosh. Page up. There it is.
Turnover on the Coyotes. So Trojans are going to inbound against the press. They get it into O'Gean. O'Gean's pass intended for Johnson's knocked out of bounds. It's going to go back to the Trojans as they're going to, well, now they're going to have.
Sorry, I wanted to just pause it, not stop it. Where should the ball come out of bounds on that play? Anybody want to jump in? Come inbounds, not out of bounds. Where should the ball throw in happen on that play?
Sideline.
Sideline.
Yeah, it was low on the sideline.
Okay, so watch what happens. Geez,
7.
please. I'm not as good as you at doing this, Steve, I guess.
Turnover on the Coyotes. So Trojans are going to inbound against the press. They get it into O'Gean. O'Gean's pass intended for Johnson's knocked out of bounds. It's going to go back to the Trojans as they're going to, well, now they're going to have to inbounds from closer to the corner of the court. Right off the baseline. They finally get it into O'Gean.
The ball goes out of bounds on C sideline. A1 stops and puts his hands up to receive the ball at the location where he is comfortable throwing the ball in at. Teams practice inbounding the ball at this spot. On this throw-in, the correct location is on the sideline. If A1 is not at the correct throw-in spot, Team A may gain an advantage or be put at a disadvantage during the throw-in.
Okay, does everybody get that? It's really important, like I said, coaches have plays to do certain things, and they have pet spots that want to bring the ball in bounds, but it's really important to be exact about where you're bringing it in, especially the higher level of games you work, because the coaches get smarter.
Hey, Stacy.
Yeah.
I was told last night to hand the ball over if it's in the baseline and bounce the ball if it's in the sideline.
Correct. If the ball is on the end line in the front court, and the offensive team's getting the ball, so you're going to stay at that end of the floor, you want to hand the ball. But everywhere else, all the other three sidelines or the other three edges of the court, you should bounce the ball.
So the first time the ref bounced the ball and the person was almost, kind of underneath the basket, right, to the side. So he bounced the ball. So is that, I was told to hand the ball over.
Yeah, and you
the
should
first
have.
time.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you talking about what happened in that clip?
Yeah, that clip. The first time when,
Yeah.
the ref
Well, he was
bounced the
in
ball.
line in the back court. I thought we were just
Yeah.
handing it off in the front court, not the back court.
You're correct. Okay, so if we're going down the floor and we're bringing the ball on the end line, we're going down the floor, we can bounce it. But if we're going to stay in that end of the court and we're bringing it on the end line, then we have to hand it.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks for the help. All right.
Evan, in regards to team control during a throw-in. Here we've got a throw-in by Team A, also a foul committed by Team A during the throw-in. The change this year to the rule clearly states, a team control foul is a common foul committed by a team that has team control, including a member of the throw-in team, from the start of the throw-in until player control is obtained in bounds. So with the editorial change now on a team control foul, the rule now clearly states that team control includes a member of the throw-in team from the start of the throw-in until player control is obtained in bounds. So on this play, once the throw-in team has obtained control from the official,
Right there.
any foul committed by Team A is a team control foul. The result of this would be a non-shooting foul if we're in the bonus. In this situation, there was a bonus, and we should not have shot because of this rule.
Okay, so the thing to remember about this is during the throw-in, once you hand the ball or bounce the ball to the thrower-in, that team is considered to be in team control. So if a foul happens in the process of the throw-in, it's going to be a team control foul, and there's not going to be any free throws. Okay?
7.
Oh, that was fancy. Okay, is this over and back or not?
No,
Why?
because he caught the ball in the air and landed with 1 or 2 feet in the backcourt, and it says that in the rules, it said that that was okay.
On a throw-in, right?
On the throw-in, yeah.
Right, so that's an exception to the over and back rule. On a throw-in, a player can jump from the front court, catch the ball, land in the back court, and it's not over and back. If that had been just a pass from one of his teammates and the ball was live and he jumped from his front court, caught the ball, and landed in the back court, it would have been an over and back. So that's you have to remember that exception to the throw-in rule, to the over and back rule, excuse me. All right, I think we have another example of that right here. Same thing, right? Page down. Okay. Let's see what this one is.
Cite and repeat for coaches and stakeholders of your games.
Here we go.
So on our throw-in, we know that the team control exists.
Just after seeing that video that far, is that an over and back or not?
Yes.
Why?
Touched it in the front court, touched it again in the back court.
Okay, we're going to learn why this is not an over and back. Okay, just like it's about player control and team control. So listen.
It's only for the purpose of administering fouls. And as 11 dark, it grabs the ball. He does not get control, so we do not have player control in the front court. And prior to having team control in the front court, you must have player control. And at no time does 11 in the dark jersey get control of the ball on the tap. He's going to hit it in the back court, and this play, him retrieving it, is totally legal, and we should play on. You must have player control in the front court in order to have team control in the front court.
Is that clear as mud? So the definition of the over and back says a team in team control in the front, in player control in the front court. It can't be the last to touch in the front court and the first to touch in the back court. This player never had player control, so he couldn't have team control, so it's okay.
And a lot of people don't know this rule. Players, coaches, obviously some officials. You'll see it on like throw-ins from the end line sometime where they can't get the ball in near closer to the, to the basket, and they throw it out to the guard and they throw it over his head. He jumps up and tips it. The ball goes into the back court. That's not player control in the front court. So when he goes and retrieves it in the back court, that's all legal. And I think I just gave this lesson to one of the players a couple of weeks ago when I was doing a game, when I said to her, I said, you didn't have to try to fling it back into the front court. You can go back and get it. And she was like, really? And I think she was a senior on that particular team. So it's something that can make you look good if you know that rule, because you will see it in the game.
Any questions from anybody?
Cite and repeat for coaches and stakeholders of your games.
Okay, so that's rule 7.
One question on that. So the same would apply if their teammate went and grabbed it too, right? Because their team or player didn't have control, so a different player on the same team could go grab it as well, right?
Correct.
Yes. That's a good question too.
But then another point is that they don't have to be lit. So if the throw-in spot is close to their front court, but they don't actually have to be limited to just the front court on the receiving the ball. I think a lot of them think that, and then they can't get themselves into a bind, but actually they could catch it in the back court.
Yes, in FIBA, if the throw-in's in the front court, it has to, catch has to be in the front court. But for National Federation, we just, you can throw it into the back court. I just don't know why more coaches don't coach that. Like this play here, that was ridiculous. But
So Stacy, somehow your reverb is going on. I don't know what you've done differently, but your voice is not, it's clear, but it's not.
Huh.
sounding a little spooky.
There's an echo.
Can you hear me now?
It might have had something to do with whatever you did in terms of optimizing the video, because I think that's when it started.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Steve, why don't you talk to the slides and just tell me when to flip them?
Oh, thanks.
There we go.
Flip them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're more talking about mechanics as much as anything here on the free throws. So the administrating official will make the ball available to the thrower. So the administrating official is the official that's on the end line. And have you guys practiced free throw administration on the court? Okay, so this is going to be all review. 10 seconds to release the try for a ball. I think I said this the other day, as like nobody ever gets to 10 seconds except for Giannis.
I did it once in high school.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was terrible at free throws, so it was just like a panic attack whenever I went to the line.
I don't think I've gotten past like 4 or 5 in any of my counts that I've ever done. But first, lane spaces need to be occupied by opponents of the thrower. On to the next one. And then after that, they may be occupied. The second lane spaces, not land spaces, but lane spaces may be occupied teammates of the thrower. And then a maximum of 4 opponents and 2 teammates of the thrower allowed in lane spaces. And we'll mess this up. And we had this conversation a month ago at Bellevue College with some of the participants saying, no, the defense, if the offensive team wants to put nobody on the lane line, the defensive team can put up to 4 players on the lane line, and they have to be in the first 2 positions, but then after that, they can be in any of the other 4 available positions, as opposed to they only can be in the first position and the third position, if you guys understand what I'm saying. So just know that if the offensive team doesn't take the 2 spaces that they want, that they're entitled to, the defensive team can fill in, which is what this last bullet basically says. You can move to occupy a vacant marked lane space. Everybody understand that?
The first spaces you mean are the ones closest to the
there's the block. There's the block, the thicker lane separation space, and then the lane space next to the block, closer to the free throw line, is the first space.
Okay.
Right, right, when you're on the court, you've seen this. That part will come quite naturally to you. It's been a long time since we went the other way, where we were filling in the space below the larger block. Okay, and then all the rest of the players got to be behind the free throw line, extended in the 3-point line, and it's where you kind of do your preventative officiating. If you're at the trail and you start seeing some kid kind of wandering down, either talking to his coach or not paying attention or whatever, and starts to kind of wander down below the free throw lane line extended, you want to just kind of make sure they stay back.
Fancy.
Now we're bouncing them in now, right?
Yeah.
So free throws on personal foul obviously happen by the offended player. If that player is hurt, can't shoot, then the coach of the team who is shooting gets to pick the substitute. It's not the coach of the other team that kind of gets to pick the kid who's cowering at the end of the bench to shoot the free throws, but the coach of the team shooting the free throws gets to decide who's going to shoot those free throws. And free throws for technicals, this is kind of a good distinction that we're going to say between technicals and intentional fouls. So technical fouls can be shot by anybody, including somebody who's not on the floor, right? So you can sub in for a technical free throw, even if it's happening at the beginning of the game, right? So the lineups are in, everybody's got the 10 starters, somebody dunks before the, 2 minutes before the game starts, and you're going to start with free throws. That can actually occur with a substitute going in to shoot those free throws. So free throw shot for technicals by any player.
And the 2 free throws can be shot by 2 different players.
And the true.
Okay.
And do we have one more here which talks about intentionals?
That's it.
Guess not. Intentionals get shot by the player who's been fouled. Okay, so that's one of the distinctions between, is that a technical foul or is it an intentional foul? So did the foul happen when the ball was dead, or did the foul happen when the ball was live? You know, or was the foul for the reach in foul, did the player hit the ball, or did the player hit hit the thrower in?
So if it's an intentional foul and say the individual who was fouled is like physically unable to shoot the basketball,
Mhm.
what happens there?
Same thing as the personal foul. So it's, you know, any substitute selected by the coach.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, let's see what you have here, Steve. Play.
Black 11 at the line, attempting a free throw when white 20 in the bottom lane space makes a hard box out into his opponent in an effort to obtain a good rebounding position. When we zoom in closer, we see that before the ball is released, white 20 breaks the plane of the lane boundary, causing a free throw lane violation. But then he continues on, swinging his elbow and contacting his opponent, causing a foul. So how is this situation handled? With a violation followed by a foul. First, you need to determine the order of when each action occurred. Since the violation by an opponent occurred first, a delayed violation is ruled, and the ball remains live to allow the free thrower to continue the free throw attempt. However, when the foul happens, the whistle must be blown and a determination must be made as to whether the act of shooting had begun. In this clip, the free thrower had started his shooting motion, so, according to the continuous motion rule, the goal would count if the try was successful. If the ball doesn't go in, like this clip, the penalties must be administered in the order in which they occurred. Start by clearing the lane and awarding a substitute free throw. Next, the ball will be given to the offended team at the spot of the foul, unless the bonus is in effect, which would result in the appropriate number of free throws. Remember, when multiple penalties must be assessed, we should always administer them in the order each action occurred. Let's watch that one last time.
We good with that?
Questions on that?
Those are the kind of things, I know I'm sounding like I'm underwater. Those are the kind of things you want to talk with your partner about because they're really weird and they don't happen that often. Okay?
In our next clip, as the free throw shooter is attempting his free throws, it appears that both black 20 and white 22 step into the lane before the ball is released, creating a double violation. Let's examine a little closer. Before the ball is released by the free throw shooter, white 22 indeed steps on the line, followed by black 20 stepping into the lane. However, the rules state quite clearly, unless the violations happen simultaneously, only the first player to violate is penalized, regardless of how many players may step in afterwards. And therefore, in this play, since white 22 steps out of his marked lane space first, play is whistled dead and all other activity is ignored. Let's watch that one more time.
We good?
This is the second time we've gone through free throw violations. So it's important because we're there a lot. So we need to make sure we get these right.
Make it a violation for an opponent of the thrower to enter the semicircle and a foul for them to contact the thrower if it is more than incidental contact prior to the ball hitting the basket or backboard.
So how do we adjudicate that play right there?
Examples. First off,
can we go back?
Positioning where to stand as.
Did everybody see that? Should I run it from the beginning again?
Yes, please.
make it a violation for an opponent of the thrower to enter the semicircle, and a foul for them to contact the thrower if it is more than incidental contact prior to the ball hitting the basket or backboard.
So what do you call on that?
So would you call the violation and the foul because she entered first and then she made contact? So you'd reshoot the foul reshoot that shot because it was a violation. So she gets that shot over and then administer the foul. So either spot of the foul out of bounds, or if you're in bonus, then you shoot again.
Great. Perfect. Right. Which, by the way, that's basically the same violation we just showed you with when it happened right on the block with the first clip that we showed. This actually happens somewhat commonly too, or at least used to. Kids are getting better in terms of not penetrating that free throw lane line, but that's exactly what you would do. You'd have a violation, so you'd reshoot that shot, and then you have the foul as well.
Okay. Let's see what else they say.
All right, let's look at a couple of examples. First off, positioning, where to stand as the C or as trail in two-person. The mechanics manual says halfway between the.
Okay, yes.
Our official has a great angle on the play, a little close to the sideline.
Oh, why is this not cooperating?
Notice the open look on the players here, keeping the shoulders open, stepping down for rebounding action, but not giving up on this responsibility here as well. Bottom line, we have more to do.
Does everybody understand that step down? This is how it should look. What I was trying to have you do when we were practicing. Okay, shots released, you step down, you put your arm up as a trail. That's all we have. So
any questions on either of those two rules? So Stacy, I have a request.
I'm going to turn it off.
I have a different request, but is everybody good with those two rules? Anybody got any questions on those? All good. Can we go back to the? Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just saying, like, clears mud for a while. Yeah.
It gets better the more you work, right? It becomes much more comfortable. Experience is a great teacher for sure. Can we go back to the quiz question on the Blarge?
Sure. Let me see. I want to bring up right here. This one.
Have I already had to apologize for one wrong answer in the quizzes this year? If not, I get to do it for this one.
Oh, I explained it wrong, huh?
Well, but you were baited into explaining it wrong because you trusted the answer that was put in front of you.
Okay, well, I'm going to change this in the answer guide, but go ahead.
All right. Do you have it up? Because we can't see it.
Oh, geez. Okay, I brought it up, but I never shared my screen. That was brilliant. Come on, what's wrong with you guys? Share screen.
And actually try to take the optimization. Never mind, too late. But if you can take your optimization off, I think you'll sound better.
You don't like how I sound, Steve?
Most of the time it's music to my ears, but not tonight.
All right, share sound. That was off before too. You can still hear me, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just for the video. All right, now I have to. Can you see that?
Okay, so classic Blarge. This is player driving to the basket, releases the ball. In the judgment of one of the officials, that player commits a foul. The A1 driving to the basket commits the foul, and in the judgment of the other official, B5 commits the foul, and the officials come up and blow their whistle at the exact same time. So this is considered a double foul.
Oh, gosh, I knew this. I knew
And
this.
so did I. And I'm looking at the answer and I'm like, you're kidding me. Because this is a classic question.
No, I knew this. I knew this answer. Dang it.
So, but again, I baited you into this if this is the way I put it down on the answer sheet. So it's not considered a player control foul. It's actually considered a double foul. And double fouls happen. So there's the section on dead balls, which is Rule 6, Section 7. And then they have some exceptions to when the ball becomes dead. Because one of the is Section 7.7 says the ball becomes dead when there's a foul other than a player control or a team control occurs. So foul occurs, ball becomes dead, except when the ball is in flight, right? And so if it was a player control foul, if it was just one and the ball is in flight, ball becomes dead immediately and no basket. But because there's a foul for each team, the player driving the ball and the player being crashed into or being considered having a block, it's considered a double foul. And in double foul, the ball does not become dead immediately if the ball's in the air. So the ball goes in, the basket counts,
And you run the end line.
and then you run the end line with the play.
The team that didn't score runs the end line like after a made basket. Yeah. And you know what? I did this wrong last year, and I looked it up, and I had to correct myself with the apprentices, and I did it wrong again. So this
Well,
is
but I started it all by putting it down wrong. So I my bad.
okay. Everybody get that? And now that's really clear as mud, right? Right, Chris?
Yep, crystal clear.
Yeah. When you get and no doubt you'll have a blarge in the next 2 weeks and you'll be crap. What did they say?
Okay. So the last thing, if you don't have any rules questions about the quizzes or the stuff we talked about new tonight, I'm going to bring up my arbiter screen, and I'm going to show you a few things, and then I'm going to ask one of you who hasn't yet registered or whatever the word is. I want you to bring up your screen so everybody knows, because my screen looks a little busier than yours do. So, okay, so we'll start with mine, and then somebody else can share their screen. All right, so let me bring, first of all, has everybody here gotten a welcome to Arbiter email?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Have you all logged in? Because there's a time limit. You gotta make sure you gotta log in, or else we're gonna have to set up your account again. Okay, so let me go to here. And source. All right, far enough. Come on. I'll share my screen again. Don't want that anymore. Close that up. Okay, you can see the arbiter. Okay. Let me see. What's my password here? Okay, does this kind of look familiar when you log in? You get a screen, not exactly like this, but kind of like this. Okay, what you should have on yours, you should have where it says PNBOA, PNBOA Rec, and WOA Central Hub. You should have those three things listed. Okay. So let's go to PNBOA. That's not exactly what I wanted. Main. Okay. First of all, you see this thing right here, this ready to be assigned with a check mark? Once you set your blocks, you need to make sure you check this, or the assigner won't see that you're available. I have no idea why Arbiter has this stupid little gotcha, but people always forget this, and then they say they're not getting games. It's because you need to check it when you're ready, okay? Okay, so just a couple things here. Make sure that your profile information is correct. If your picture's not there, which it probably isn't right now, go ahead and post a picture so people know who to look for when they come to the gym, so they know what you look like, okay? Under the phone number piece here, put in probably your cell number, okay? I hope you would make it public so that people, other officials can text you or call you if they need to about your game assignments. But they also want us to put in an emergency contact number. So I have my sister here, okay? That one you don't need to make public. The only people who will see this are the assigners, okay? But please put both numbers in, and then just make sure all your other information is correct. Lists. These are all the people who are currently in the PMBOA. So if you get assigned a game with let's see, Life. How do you say his name?
Leif.
I always get it wrong. If you have a game with Leif, it shows up on your schedule. What you want to do is contact him sometime in the week before your game, just to make sure, like I said, you're both going to the same gym at the same time. Okay, you can send an email, you can send a text, you can do whatever you want to do. This is actually, there's a mobile Arbiter app that I would encourage you to get on your phones, to download on your phones, because it makes it really easy to text your partner. When you look at your game, it says text all partners, and you click there, and you don't have to put any numbers in, you just type a text and send it off.
And ditto here, when you go into your schedule, you have the alternative of emailing all partners. So you don't really need to be on this list all that often.
Yeah, but there it is. If you want to see what somebody looks like, or whatever. We're going to get to blocks. That's the important part. And schedule will list your. Say again?
Yeah, right. If you click there.
If you click on your schedule. So you see, like I worked, I helped out at the PMBOA Academy, so I had all these games assigned here. Okay, but I'm gonna find you. So last year, here's a game I have. Well, last summer. I had a girls' basketball high school varsity game on this date at this time at this gym. Okay, home gym, away gym. If you click over here on the left, it'll tell you who your crew is. See, there's the names of your crew. Again, like you can get this in so many different ways. This is just one of the ways you can get it.
And on this page is where it says email crew. Could you just go back quickly for just a second?
I'll just pick a different game.
So here, where it's official status, position, distance, and then email crew, you can click on right there.
Right here.
Well, click on directly the email crew. It'll light up in red, I think, or whatever, and you click right there, and it'll bring you into your mail and set you up to be able to email your crew quickly. And then you can also in here. Can you close that out now?
I'm trying to.
You can click on like Mary Roper's name or Chuck Frain's name, and it'll bring you to their picture here as well. So you can grab the information on your crew by doing it that way.
Yeah, I don't want to do all this. I want to close it up. Can I close it up? There, that'll work. Okay, so that's your schedule. On the main page, you can flip back and forth between PMBOA or PMBOA Rec or whatever up here in the upper right corner. Okay, it lists all those same things that were listed when you first logged in. So you can go to PMBOA Rec, or you can go to WOA down at the bottom here. If I bring this up. The WOA Central Hub is where you need to go to get do your certification stuff, and I'll get there as soon as we talk about your blocks. Okay. So the most important thing for you right now is your blocks. So what you get a calendar for each month. You see a legend over here on the lower left. The blues are when you're assigned games, the reds are when you're blocked out. And the orange, if you have an orange, you're blocked for only part of the day. So I'm gonna go to, I'm just gonna, and up here, these are the different groups. So again, you're gonna have PMB away and PMB away rec, and that's all. You're not gonna have all this other noise that I have. So let me get rid of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to do a little demo for you. So this action over here, right now it's clicked on view schedule. So if I clicked on a date on the calendar, like the 16th of November, underneath here, underneath the calendar, it'll say on the 16th of November, I'm blocked all day. Okay. Let's say I decide, well, I can really work after work. So I'm going to block myself off from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., let's just say. So I'm going to click over here on the left, block part day, okay? And see these times are set. You can change them to whatever you want to. And so now when I click on the 16, you see there's two things here. You have the original blocked all day, and then you have this partial block. So I'm going to get rid of that block all day. And you see how my square turns into an orange one? That means I'm blocked for part of the day. So those are what all the different colors kind of look like. So the range of time that you're blocked is when you cannot work. It's not when you can work, it's when you cannot work. I would strongly advise you that if you get off work at 5 o'clock, that you do not make yourself available at 5 o'clock because you have to bleed in time for getting to the game site. Okay, so it just kind of depends how long it takes you to get anywhere from work or what time you get off, etc. But don't cut it too close. Okay, you can do like a whole, like if your schedule's the same all the time. Let's say you can work every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from November, where are we here? From November 16th to the 30th. November 16th to the 30th. And you want to have this partial like this 8 to 5 block, okay? So then you apply. I've never figured out an easy way to do this, Steve. Do you know how to do? Oh, I suppose I should have cleared my blocks first.
What's
But
that?
anyway, because oftentimes, so now like, so this is a Wednesday in the time that I specified, right? It was initially blocked all day, but now I want to have it open for these, I want to have this partial block in, so. Yeah, what I should have done is I should have put in these days like I did and do clear blocks and apply. You see, and now they're all cleared out. And now if I want to block part of the day for that bunch of dates, then I go to block part day and 8 to 5, boom, apply, now they're all going to turn orange. Does that all make sense to you guys? You just have to play with it. And that actually might be why you have to put that, click that check mark on the front page, because before it's checked, you can play around with this and it's not going to hurt. You can fix whatever errors you make. Okay. It's really important to know up in the upper left here, you can have a different availability calendar for PMUA school ball or PMUA rec ball. I think most people probably have the same calendar. So if you click them both, then everything you do to your calendar will apply to both of those groups. Anybody have any questions about that?
Yeah, can you state again, say you were talking about you worked until 5, but you could start work at 6. So
Right.
You're saying you should block until 6?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Just remember this time window here is when you're blocked out and you can't work. Okay.
Right, but when does the opening start? So if I said I was blocked off till 5, would I be assigned a game at 5 or would I be assigned a game at
You could be assigned a
5:30
game at
or?
5. Yeah.
So your block should go until you could actually be at a court.
Correct. Okay.
I have a question. How many days should we block our calendar?
Oh, Steve, you should probably answer this one because I don't work that much of this stuff.
I would say probably at least a month.
Well, yeah, I mean, particularly on the rec side, that's probably true. The high school side or the school side, which you're probably going to have more focus on middle school, and you might get some freshman or JV games. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks, and you know, to the extent something comes up inside that 2 to 3 week period, and you haven't been assigned a game, like that blue 2 and the November 2nd shows, you know, there's a game assigned there, and assuming it's the 31st today of October as opposed to the 2nd of November, and you can't, you know, anyway, you can close once you set them, you can go back and change them as long as you haven't been assigned a game in the meantime. If you have been assigned a game, you need to kind of contact the assigner if you truly can't work it, and you would turn back the game, which is relatively, it is discouraged, let's put it that way. It happens because, you know, life is complicated, but, you know, once you get the assigned games, we try to meet that obligation.
Yeah, and you know, like Steve said, sometimes life happens, but if you are a person who is continually turning back games, pretty soon you're not going to get games. That's the danger. So just make yourself available when you can work, and then if you find out, well, you can get to the gyms earlier than you thought, then the next time around, and you can change your block time. Okay? If any of you guys has trouble doing this, please contact me or Steve, and we can Zoom with you and we can help you out. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to go to the certification piece.
You can also unclick the unclick that box that says not available. Like if you're not sure and you don't want to mess with all the dates and stuff, you can just unclick that thing that you showed at first.
On the front page, right, this right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready to be assigned. You can unclick that, and that will also block you.
Right. I would suggest though, once you figure out how to do your blocks, like once you figure out how the system works, and you set them for the first time, and you check on this the first time, just leave this checked forever. Okay? Because you'll forget, and you won't be getting games, and you won't know why. Okay. So we go to WOA Central Hub. Okay, so we're most interested up at the top. You see all the sports. We'll go to basketball. We go to Eligibility Center. And so see where it says basketball WOA 2021-22. There are, I think, 4 requirements to be registered. Well, maybe there's more. But essentially, this is where you get to everything that you need, right? So I already completed all these things, but you will have links here where you go and you watch video clinics, or you consent to a background check, or you watch the concussion management video, okay? And so right now I have everything done except for the test, because the test just became available. Okay, but I think the thing that's different between what mine looks like and what yours looks like is before you can get to this stuff on the left, you have to enroll, and I've already enrolled, but you have to click on enrolled on the right before you can even access any of this other stuff. So I would like one of you, I'm going to stop my share, and one of you that is logged into Arbiter and is a little friendly with it, who would that be? Just one of you guys. I want one of you that has kind of a blank Arbiter account to log in.
I've got it up and logged in already.
Okay, why don't you just share your screen then? Okay. So go ahead and see, so you're not ready to be assigned, that's good. If you go up to the upper right where it says PMBOA 1047, whatever, blah, blah, where your name is, up in the upper right, there we go, and click there. See, you have PMBOA, REC, and WOA. So go to WOA Central Hub. And then basketball along the top. And then eligibility center along the top. Okay, so click on, doesn't matter, just click on certified basketball. Okay, you see on the right side there? I gotta move your picture, sorry, Kels. It's in the way. Yeah, so you have to click on enroll before you can do anything else. Okay, now you're enrolled. Now you see all these links and stuff over here? And you just walk through each one of them and you do it. And your check mark, your green check mark is not going to appear instantaneously. It'll take like a day or two sometimes before those columns of red X's turn into green check marks. Okay, but essentially the left column here where it says number 1, that's to be certified, and the right column is to be registered. Frankly, I don't know why they have two separate things. Just do all the requirements to be certified, the left column, which includes taking the test and an online clinic, which are the last two. Okay? And that's all you have to do. Pretty simple, right?
So what if we don't have the WOA official link available?
You need to tell me, and then I will make sure that you get it.
Hey, Stacy, I don't have the WOA official thing.
Okay, Chris, I will talk to John and Leslie, or God, I keep saying Leslie, and Salima. Do you have the other two?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if any of you other folks don't have all three, PMBOA, PMBOA REC, and WOA, please let me know, because you need to get this stuff done before you can do any school games. Okay?
Okay.
One quick thing, this take test, the fifth thing down the list there. This is a 50 question, I think, test. And you will, well, there's 50 total questions, and on your particular test, you're going to have 40 of the 50 in the group. Okay. Kelsey, go ahead and unshare or stop sharing, or I'll stop sharing for you. Come on, there we go. I'm gonna put mine up there again because I wanted to show you a couple things.
Hey, Stacy.
Yeah.
A lot of those things look very similar to the stuff you have to do to be a coach in WIAA. Are those the same exact tests? In the same?
I have no idea. I've never taken a test for WIAA, so I don't know.
Okay, I'll shut up.
No, that's okay. I just don't know. I just haven't. I haven't seen that.
Concussion management, and I think that's the same. You know, the rules tests, they don't make coaches take rules tests, do they? Or they surely don't make them pass them.
Yeah, you got to take it and you got
to take them and pass them.
Wow. And then forget them. I guess that's the third part of coaching. Take them, pass them, and forget them.
Okay, so that test, you need to pass, you need to get 70% correct, and it's open book. And there's a guy in our group, Kevin Shin, who usually schedules a Zoom session with you guys if you want the help, and he goes over every question so that you don't have to worry. I mean, now he expects you to try to answer them yourself first, but then he'll go over all the questions and answer questions you might have about them. And essentially, you could pretty much get 100% if you go take advantage of his offer. Okay. On this page that I shared this with you, right? You can see the Central Hub page. Yes?
No.
No, I didn't share. Okay, hold on. I thought I shared. Share screen. Now I'm sharing. Come on. Now I'm sharing.
Yep.
Okay, if you go to the central hub and you go to basketball, before you go into the eligibility center, down in the right column here, it says basketball study guide. Those are a list of all the questions. So before you try to answer the test online, I would advise you to like print this out if you can, or that's the easiest thing. And then go through these things and try to answer them so that when Kevin notifies you that he's ready to go over the test, that at least you've put some kind of effort into figuring the stuff out yourself, because that's what we learn.
And notice the references at the end of each question, right? So there'll be rule references. The first several of them, they're a little harder to dig out because they're in the WIAA guidance that is also on the WOA website. So if you're having some trouble basically with the first 7 particularly, and you want to reach out to one of us to kind of get you in the right direction, we can definitely do that. But after that, they basically start referencing the rules. So this is, rule 336 for number 17. So go to rule 336 and you should be able to get number 17 correct.
Okay. Another thing is those things that Steve said, are kind of harder to find, which they are. A lot of these are referenced in your mechanics manual, so you have the case book, the rules book, they're small, and then the mechanics manual is a little bit bigger and white. A lot of these are in the beginning of that book because in the beginning of that book, they address the Washington specific items. So some of these things you can find there. Okay. So yeah, I think now you really know enough to be dangerous. Yeah, I would advise you, finish up your quizzes online because you need to start working on the study guide. And the other links, the clinics and so forth, most of them are relatively short. They're not excessively long. They talk about the rule changes and what the WOA offers you and their partnership with NASA, and a lot of it's like wah 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 wah, but you got to do it.
What is the case if you don't get 70%?
Well, you got to take it again until you pass.
You take it. All right.
Yep. One thing I want to tell you about that study guide. You're going to get, like I said, 40 of these 50 questions presented here. They're going to be in a different order. They mix them up so that because they don't want people to share tests with each other and just fill out like one is A, 2 is B. So they'll mix the questions up and they'll also mix the options up. So for number 2 on my test, it might say officials, A is officials, B is any member of the coaching staff, C is, you know what I'm talking about? So they mix up the answers. So even when you fill this study guide out, when you go to fill in your test, you need to be careful about how you're doing it. Okay?
But the good news is that when they skip around, like they might give you question number 1, and then number 3, number 4, and then number 6. They actually do it in the order of the study guide. So you don't have to like search through the study guide on each and every single question. It will roll through in order. Yeah. The answers, the choices of the answers, as Stacy just said, might be jumbled up, but the questions at least go in order to make it a little bit easier for you to follow what you did in the study guide.
And while you're on this WOA site, there's a lot of there's articles in here, as you can see, scrolling around, and there's all kinds of stuff over here that it doesn't hurt for you to take a look at. So just browse around, see over here on the left side, mercy rule instructions. There's some questions on the test about mercy rule, WIAA adopted rules, shot clock. All this stuff is here, and you could probably find answers to the test. Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you to make sure you log into Arbiter within the next 24 hours and make sure you have your 3 groups that we talked about. And if you don't have one or more of them, please let me know like right away. Okay?
Stacy, I know I don't have the PNBOA rec. I have the other one, and I have the central hub.
Okay, so let me write that down. Thank you.
Hey Stacy, hey, it's Tam. So you said we should have the PBNOA, the PBNOA rec, and then the WA central head, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So Jillian, you said you didn't have PMBOA rec. Is that correct?
Correct. I do not have the PNBOA rec.
Okay, I've got it down. Chris doesn't have the WOA central hub. So, yes, shoot me a text real quick and I'll take care of those for you. I'll get in touch with the assigners and make it happen. I was going to get the assigners on tonight to talk with you, but I thought that would make a long session even longer. So I will get them on a Zoom call with you, so you know what they look like and what they expect from you and all that stuff. And that'll be within the next week or so. Okay. So, yes, this is the end of your formal class training and on-court training, and we just are going to squeeze in as many scrimmages as we can get before Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving there's like a massive number of games, and if you can work that weekend, Selena will love you, and you'll also get a lot of really good, experience because there's a lot of games, and the more you work and you see situations, the more comfortable you're going to feel. Okay, that's the bottom line. So, where am I here? I want to go to stop sharing. Okay. Glenn, you didn't say a word tonight. That's not like you. He's sleeping.
I asked one question.
I knew you would. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Make sure to let me know if you're going to be available on Monday. And Darrell, I'll let you know about Friday. That time's a little early for most people, but I'll check it out anyways.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, there's also a video on the PMBA website about how to use Arbiter and stuff. You can set like distance restrictions too on your blocks if you need to. So like.
No, you can't. That we've eliminated it.
What? But I did it earlier.
You did?
I live in like South Tacoma, so going further than like Renton is tough for me, right? So especially if I'm doing it like on a weekday or something. So I did
The
set
better
up.
thing to do there is make sure the assigners know, because I don't think they pay attention to that.
Okay.
All of you guys should write to both John and Selima and say, hi, I'm a new apprentice, and I'm going to start making my availability open for you. I work in Tacoma, and I live in Shoreline, and during the week I'm going to be coming from work, and during the weekend I'm going to be coming from home. So if they know that, they will try to accommodate you. But if they have no idea, that they might send you to Timbuktu because they just don't know. So introduce yourselves to both of them, and their email addresses are on the website under the lists. I showed you on the Arbiter under lists. It's John Lindsay and Selima Kanji.
On which website? On PNBOA?
No, on the
Arbiter.
Arbiter.
Okay.
Under lists, where I told you this is all the reps in the group, there's also the assigners there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, one more question. I'm sorry. Just a clarifying question on the black shorts. So they have to be all black. So it can't have like the champion logo, the Nike logo, or the N1 logo. Like what?
I wouldn't get that particular, Steve. I don't know about you, but I if it's just a logo on a pair of shorts, I think that's fine. You just don't want to have, like logos all over them. Okay.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people ref with logos on their shorts. It's hard to find them without a logo on their shorts. If that's the thing that you get criticized for while you're doing your rec games, it won't happen. Nobody will criticize you for it. And we'll end up providing you with a PNBOA brand. Actually, you can either buy directly from us a PNBOA shorts, or we can give you a iron-on patch that will kind of show the PNBOA logo as well. So you're fine with the Nike swoosh or whatever.
Yeah. That's a good question, though. Anybody have questions about uniforms? Like what you need, what you don't need? Are you all clear on that? Where to buy them?
Yeah, what do we have to wear for each specific type of game?
So for all school games, you're supposed to wear black pants, black socks, black shoes, a striped shirt, and if you can afford it, and you don't have to do it this year, but probably within a year, you need to get a striped shirt that has the WOA patch sublimated on it, on the side, okay? And if you go to the WOA store, it's one of the links I shared with you earlier, you'll find those shirts with the WOA. But for your first year, if you just have a striped shirt and you have black pants and black shoes and black socks, you're golden. For the non-school games, you wear a striped shirt without the WOA logo, so just a regular plain old black and white striped shirt. You wear black shorts, black or white socks, and black shoes.
Or white shoes.
Or white shoes, excuse me. Okay.
And you can wear, and for the rec, we let people wear things like tights under their shorts, or including like long tights. And ditto, and actually underneath your jerseys now too. Sometimes you're in gyms in the middle of the winter where it can be a bit chilly. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
And they've all gotten lanyards, right?
They all have lanyards and whistles. If you haven't gotten a whistle mask yet, some of the leagues are requiring that you wear masks, and some of them aren't requiring. In Salima, whenever she assigns tournaments, she lets you know which gym is which. The only requirement for our group is that you be vaccinated. And Salima needs a copy of your vaccination card, and you should do that like tonight before you forget. Record assigner at pnboa.org. Because unless that's in your file, you will not show up as available, even if you think you're available. Okay.
Stacy, what about the MSA? I think I submitted mine already, but
You might have. I mentioned that in the email today. You need to sign a member services agreement. It's like your contract with the organization. It's a lot of it's boilerplate. You know, you might probably want to read through it since this is your first time, but there's nothing crazy in there. And
where do we get that?
We all do that via DocuSign. So you get an email from DocuSign, and then you read through it, and then you sign it. You sign it electronically, and then it's recorded, and that's all taken care of. So you don't have to send anything back and forth in the snail mail. And the same thing happens with your social security numbers. Our accountant needs those for tax purposes, to file earnings and so forth. So you should get a W-9 via DocuSign that you put your social security number in, and nobody sees that stuff except the accountant and maybe our membership share. I'm not sure how we've worked it out, but it's not kept anywhere in our system. The only system it's kept on is our accounts. Okay, but when you get those things from DocuSign, do them right, handle it right away, or else you'll forget. And if you don't, in the next week, get those 2 DocuSign things to take care of, please let me know, because that means somebody's not doing their job. Oh, Tam, the vaccination cards need to go to rec assigner, so RECASSIGNOR at pnboa.org.
Just one word.
Well, it's an email address, yeah. Rec assigners, one word, at pnboa.org. And if you look, that address belongs to a woman named Salima Kanji, Kanji. And so if you lose her email address, just look up Kanji in the arbiter lists of the names, and you'll find all that information. Okay, good question. Did I miss anything else on the chat? Let me see. Where do we send the vaccination card? Okay. Look at you, Kelsey. You're right on top of things, man.
So I have a question about black pants for school games. Can they be any black pants, like say like a all black pair of sweats, or does it need to be okay?
You need you need to go to like those officiating gear sites I sent you and buy the wonderful, like they used to be horribly hot polyester pants. But they've come up with materials now that are much better and lay on your body much better. None of them are cheap. They're $40, $50. But they don't have belt loops. They have a sticky band inside the waist. It'll kind of helps keep your shirt tucked in. They come, I don't even know if they sell the unpleated ones anymore, but they have, most of them have little pleats on the front. And yeah, if you can't find something that looks reasonable, Chris, just let me know and I'll walk through some sites with you. I think, Tam, were you the one that said you could get them with extra long or something, and then you could hem the hems up somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. They send them to you super, super long. And then you just take them to an alteration shop and then they'll measure and sew them up for you right then and there. Like I had mine done in like 5 minutes.
So you got your stuff from the WA store?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay.
Cool. And so we can't do like school games until we get those pants, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there's not going to be money, school games aren't going to start until after, well, maybe there's some middle school, but most of them aren't going to start until after Thanksgiving anyway, so you got time. And yeah, just get on one of those sites. Those websites for the gear, they're on the main pmba.org site. They're on, I think I included them on the Apprentice site, and they were in an email I sent to you guys a little bit ago. So they're all over the place. And if you still can't find them, let me know.
Yeah, the referee store was one. There's some good stuff on there. It's
yeah.
I think I told you I ordered a pair of Adams pants. They fit okay in the waist and everything, and they all need to be hemmed though. So there's $20 to get them hemmed.
Yeah.
But these Adams one, oh my gosh, they were so baggy. It was like 1953 all over again. So I sent those back, and then somebody told me about this referee store, and they've got more tapered ones. So we'll see. I ordered them.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people get them from there, and they look much better. Okay, make sure you spend good money on your shoes if you're spending money, though, like I said before. Okay, anything else? Okay, so make sure you answer those DocuSign emails, get on the Arbiter website, put your availability in, and go get certified. And I will get you on the court as many times as I can before Thanksgiving, and then after that, you guys are working. I'm going to work with our recruiting and retention chair, Dave Emmons, to hook you guys up with like mentors if you want to have somebody, to talk about play situations, things that happen in games. You can always talk with me, but if it's nice if we can spread it out a little bit, talk with Steve. It's nice to just have a person that you can go to and talk about crap that happens in your game. We feel like a dog because you just totally blew a game. You feel terrible. You just want to dump on somebody. That's what you need a mentor for. Good? Okay, don't be shy out there. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you. What are we wearing on Monday?
Same as yesterday. I just want you to have a striped shirt and a whistle and black shorts if you have them, just some kind of shorts.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Make sure to let me know if you can make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.